In the early 1990s, Apple was in a moment of quiet confidence. The Macintosh line had matured, design was becoming cleaner, and performance, at least by the standards of the day, felt substantial. Among that generation came the Macintosh Quadra 700, a compact, upright workstation that quietly bridged the gap between the classic Mac era and the modern machines that would follow.
You were made as well as we could make you, but not to last.
Released in late 1991, the Quadra 700 was something of a statement piece for Apple. It looked almost unassuming, identical in form to the earlier Macintosh models, but inside it carried the heart of a new era. Powered by a Motorola 68040 processor, it was one of the fastest personal Macs of its time. The same chip architecture that would later power Apple's high-end workstations was suddenly within reach for scientists, designers, and studios that needed serious performance in a relatively small footprint. The Quadra 700's vertical design was unusual for Mac then. It looked more like a small tower than the traditional desktop shape most users knew. That shift anticipated the form factor of professional computers to come. It had expansion slots, although less than in the previous Mac 2 series, RAM that could climb past 60 megabytes, and a user-serviceable interior which made it practical. Connectivity was another strength. With built-in Ethernet, still a novelty at the time, the Quadra 700 could slide effortlessly into networks. And there was System 7. For many who used it, this operating system defines the whole 90s Apple experience. The experience of using this machine today is a kind of time travel to an age when personal computing was still full of discovery. Each click, sound, and motion on screen carries the texture of that period. I'll take this opportunity to take you on a trip to the world of the classic Macintosh operating system, with all its quirks, charm, and some of the typical programs we used back in the days. Barrack, Ambrosia software, 1996. Barrack is probably inspired by the arcade game Quicks. You need to carve lines across a playing field, slicing off sections while dodging restless enemies drifting through.
You fool!
Each time you complete a line without getting hit, the new shape locks in place.
Yeah!
If it's clear of enemies, it fills, bringing you one step closer to the percentage goal that clears the level. The game stands out for its smooth, pre-rendered color animations, crisp sound effects, and unpredictable power-ups. It's all about timing and a typical Ambrosia game for the day. FreeHand 3.1, Aldus 1991. FreeHand is vector graphics before Illustrator swallowed the market. System 7's new color grid draw allowed for gradients and Bezier curves to come alive. The Quadra's floating point unit was also a plus. PageMaker, Photoshop, and FreeHand could be seen as the holy trinity of a solid 90s design or typesetting office. Dirtbike 3.1 by Brad Quick. Dirtbike mixed side-scrolling graphics with surprisingly fluid physics.
Keep it up! Keep it up!
The controls are minimal. Throttle is controlled by the Y position of the mouse cursor, and shifting had to be done manually. As for any decent two-stroke motorbike, the engine's power is the biggest challenge to master. You usually tumble, flip and crash your bike for a good amount of time until you get the hang of it. There's also a 3D version of the game with OpenGL rendered tracks, allowing for jumps and tricks. The challenge, though, persists. Adobe PageMaker 6.5, 1997, Legacy of Aldus. PageMaker, the ancestor of Adobe InDesign, was one of the very first programs to bring desktop publishing to home computers. Launched in 1985 for the original Macintosh, it introduced something radical: the ability to design full pages using a graphical interface, rather than command lines or coded layouts like the linotypes CR-tronic. You could see fonts on screen, drag images and arrange columns as if the monitor were a light table. Today those things may sound obvious, but back then Microsoft Word was still years away from pretending to be a layout tool. PageMaker, paired with the Macintosh and Apple's LaserWriter printer, formed the so-called desktop publishing revolution. PageMaker established a workflow that bridged creative studios and print houses for the next decade. Oxyd, early 90s. Originally developed for Atari ST, Oxyd is a quietly hypnotic puzzle game. The goal sounds simple: uncover matching pairs of stones to unlock the next landscape, but the path there is anything but calm. Lasers, reversed gravity, quicksand, stretches of gliding and ricocheting physics turn each level into a strange physical riddle. Beneath its minimalist surface, Oxyd tests memory, precision and patience in equal measure. It spawned a number of equally immersive sequels. I usually avoid taking apart vintage hardware without a good reason, but the Quadra 700 is a no-brainer when it comes to disassembly. Everything feels like it was designed by someone who would actually spend time repairing Macs. In truth, that design wasn't just for the technicians, it also made production faster and easier for Apple's factory workers. The modular power supply shares its form factor with many of the earlier Macintosh 2 models and lifts straight out of the case. Disconnecting the hard drive isn't much different from modern systems, apart from the bulky, SCSI cables whose brittle connectors are a constant reminder of their age. With a single screw removed, the entire drive cage, housing both the hard disk and floppy drive, slides free. The speaker assembly holds the logic board in place and usually comes out easily. My improvised battery cage isn't the smartest solution though. The only real ordeal is the reset and interrupt button assembly. I usually manage to break this thing most of the time, though this time it survived intact. The logic board should slide out smoothly, but in practice it resists until the exact moment it decides to release itself. Compared to today's sleek system-on-a-chip designs, it feels almost alien, a landscape of discrete parts, each with a visible purpose. I could go on, but my friends have already warned me to keep the nerding out to a minimum. Yeah, so time to put it all back together. While this video is me being a maximum fanboy of old Apple stuff, I am aware of the real pioneers of computer history, mainly being the Atari ST and Commodore Amiga, with their sophisticated graphical user interfaces and applications. Unfortunately, we have reached the end of this fine trip on memory lane. And if you want to support my channel, you can do so by supporting 2FX. Buying the music not only supports the channel, but also supports your ear with some fine tunes. With that said, thanks so much for watching, and until next time.